I thought I'd make a video today on how to reduce the levels of anxiety that you might be feeling with depersonalization disorder. So I've had it for about 3 months, almost to the day, and for the first two, I was, I guess you could say, a wreck of anxiety and panic all the time. And although I'm not, in terms of symptoms, a great deal better, I still feel depersonalized. I'm not constantly in pain, shall we say. I'm not constantly freaking out about everything around me. So I've tried to learn a little bit about depersonalization and what it is, and hopefully I can help you as well if you're feeling pretty fucked up. And I imagine you will be, because depersonalization, it sucks. It's one of the worst things, if not the worst thing I've ever had. And if you don't know how to manage it, it's hell. So depersonalization, to my understanding, is fundamentally an anxiety disorder. It's a problem in your lizard brain, this subconscious element of yourself, that's telling you that something is very deeply, profoundly wrong. Constantly, your fight and flight mechanism is stuck on. So your amygdala in the back of your brain is constantly going off saying there's an issue. But you scan your environment consciously, and there doesn't seem to be any immediate threat. There's nothing there. So how do you interpret this part of your brain that's constantly feeding you this information? Well, you become terrified of the only sort of palpably different thing that exists, and that's your fractured conscious experience that's come about as a result of depersonalization. And because depersonalization comes from anxiety, the more you freak out about the depersonalization, because that's what you think your brain is telling you is wrong, the worse it gets. And the worse it gets, the more you freak out about it. So fundamentally, to sort of lessen the the degree to which depersonalization is affecting you and lessen the pain that it's causing you, you need to realize that it's not a threat to you. Okay? But most people kind of know this. Like when we have DP, we know we're not going to die because of it. And we're not going to have a stroke or a heart attack or something like that because of depersonalization. So how is it exactly that the fear manifests itself? At least for me, by far the worst symptom was existential thinking. And it comes about as a reflection of your conscious state. So the kind of emotional numbness that you have. I freaked out about nihilism and things like this because I didn't feel like anything was worth doing. Nothing was worth loving or caring about. So I had to work out ways to get around that. And the other problem that I had was questions over free will. Now, DPDR is kind of a spectrum. I'm almost 100% on the DP side. I feel very detached from myself. DR, of course, is a feeling of detachment from your environment. I've heard people describe it as seeing the world as 2D, all as holograms. I don't really experience that whatsoever. For me, it's just a feeling that my thoughts are not my own, that I don't have any control over my own mind, and I feel detached from it. Everything that I do feels disingenuous, like I'm trying to be someone that I'm not, because I'm not anyone. That's the way that it feels anyway. So depending on what kind of experience you're having, whether you're more DP strung or DR, it tends to be that one of these two existential questions will come up, and it will result in sort of paralytic anxiety. If it's DP, it's a question around free will. And if it's DR, it's a question around solipsism, about the idea that the world is a dream, it's not real, because this is how it feels. If you have DP, you feel like you're not in control of yourself. You feel like you don't know who you are, that you're not the one making decisions, that everything is just imposed upon you. And in DR, of course, you feel like the world isn't real. And that's a very scary kind of thing. And it's unfortunate because, unlike questions like nihilism, for example, you don't really have great answers for them. So on the question of free will, I looked up, for example, John Conway's free will theorem and things like that to try and reassure myself, to say that there is a physical basis in which this can function. But the problem is that it still doesn't feel real, because the nature of depersonalization is resulting in these symptoms. So even if you know, well, it's possible that what you want to be true, because as I say, It's not just a question that's coming into your mind for no reason. It's a question that's coming into your mind because you're being told by your little lizard brain something is very deeply wrong. So the implications of the world not being real, but all being a dream, or of you not having any control of yourself, are dire. It is to you the worst thing that could possibly happen. So it can't be true. And a lot of people sort of will advise you, if you have these kind of thoughts, just ignore them. You know what I mean? Don't engage in thought suppression. Just accept them for what they are. Let them pass away. And if you can do that, that's great. But for me, I can do that because the implications of these thoughts in my depersonalized state are so dire and so horrific that the idea of just being able to carry on with my life, thinking that everything that gave my life meaning and that any control that I have over my life is gone, is impossible for me. I couldn't do it. So instead, I had to come up with satisfactory answers for these existential questions. Questions, like I said, of nihilism, of free will. And on the nihilism one, I could come up with good arguments. But like I say, with free will, and it will be the same with solipsism if you're struggling with this. You can't really come up with a convincing argument because your most immediate experience with DPDR is that it's just not real. It's that you're fucked. So what I did to sort of answer this is I asked myself to try and remember what life was like the day before I had DP. And it's a little bit hard for someone with DP to imagine what it's like to not have the condition. It's very difficult. The longer that you have it, the more normal it becomes. Not in the sense that you don't know that you have DP anymore, but it's very difficult to imagine what it would be like to not have DP. But you know the kind of thoughts that you were having. And you weren't freaking out, at least I wasn't, about whether or not I had control of my own mind, about whether my thoughts were my own. And then I woke up one morning, and it was palpably clear that I didn't. So what that led me to conclude is that when I'm asking myself these questions, this question in particular regards to free will, my conscious experience is such that I can't give myself an answer that I can trust. It isn't the case that I should introspect. It isn't the case that I should trust the kind of experience that I'm currently having, and that I have to believe that when I get over DP, it will make sense again. And it's the same thing with solipsism. You have to tell yourself that when you get over these feelings of DP and DR that you're currently experiencing, that it's just going to make sense again in this way that it's currently not. And if you can do that, you can believe that because you know it was once true. And you know that once you developed it, everything felt false. Everything felt like it wasn't real. Because you knew it was once like that. And you know because you've watched YouTube videos and you've told people, you've heard people say that they've recovered from it and they feel like they're in control again. So it isn't the case that you've suddenly had some awakening, that DP has unlocked your mind to the truth that you don't have any control, or the truth that the world isn't real. And it's some epiphany that you just can't come back from that. No, that's not true. Because otherwise people wouldn't have recovered. So the fact that people have recovered and they exhibited the same symptoms as you, and that you once knew what it was like to have control, you once knew what it was like for the world to be real, the fact that all those things are the case should tell you that once DP and DR is gone, it's going to make sense again. So every time that you have these thoughts, and believe me, I know they come 24/7, just tell yourself, I have depersonalization. I cannot trust my understanding of myself and the world around me right now. This question does have an answer. It will have an answer. And I know that these feelings of control are going to come back to me. And when you tell yourself that, and you believe that it is true, this is a temporary condition that you're going to get over, you'll feel better. You'll feel better because all of a sudden that anxiety, that panic, that feeling that the worst thing possible is true will dissipate. You'll still feel depersonalized. You'll still feel derealized. But you'll be able to cope. You'll be able to go on with your life. And only when you cope can you actually begin to recover. And that's what I'm going to be trying to do. and I'll be making some videos in the future if this one gets any traction about, you know, what I'm trying to do, what's helped me, and I hope this video helped you.